Now at 5:30, learning how to save a life. A professional teaches us how to perform CPR. Plus, Tennessee baseball heads to the Diamond. See the 3 things you need to know before the first pitch. And waking up to a bear inside your car. Hear from one woman about how the animal broke in and a look at the damage it did.
Straight from the heart of East Tennessee, this is 10 News at 5.
Well, seeing an emergency can be scary, but it's important to know how to respond. 475,000 Americans die from cardiac arrest in a single year. Most people who go into cardiac arrest outside of a hospital don't get CPR until emergency crews arrive. So as CPR Awareness Week comes to an end, we're learning how to perform the life-saving act. We so appreciate Cheryl Smith with CPR Choice. She's the owner of the company, joining us to teach us all we need to know about CPR. So let's first have you walk us through a scenario. We see someone collapse. What do we do?
So the very first thing that we always want to do is first just assess the scene and make sure that it's safe for us to even approach the victim. So always look both ways. And then the very first thing that we're going to do is just check for responsiveness, and we're going to do that by tapping the victim's shoulders and just saying like, hey, are you okay? And making sure that he really is not responsive. At that point, we want to activate the emergency response team, and we can do that by telling somebody, hey, you go call 911, or if we're by ourselves, then we can go ahead and pick up our cell phone and we can call 911. And this is absolutely the most important step, because we've got to make sure that we're getting that advanced care on the way. From that point, we can definitely do a little assessment. We want to look, listen, and feel, look down the plane of the chest, see if we see any chest rise, if we can feel the victim breathing, or if we can hear any noise or see any signs of life. If we do not, then at that point, we're just going to go ahead and begin hands-only CPR. This has kind of been the new focus from the American Heart Association, hands-only CPR. A lot of us have an aversion to putting our mouth on other adults' mouths, especially if we're in a public event or something like that, a ball field. So we would just immediately begin compressions. And how we do that is we just place the heel of our hand, the bony part of the palm, on the lower portion of the sternum, right in between the nipples. And then we're going to interlace our other fingers on top. We want to keep our elbows straight. And then we're just going to push directly straight down on the victim's chest. And when we do this, couple things is we want to make sure that we're pushing down at a depth of at least 2 inches, and then we're also pushing at a tempo of at least 100 compressions a minute, up to about 120. So one thing that you can do to remember that is 100 compressions a minute is the tempo of the song Staying Alive, or I saw some Vol fans on here earlier, the tempo of Rocky Top is 120 compressions a minute.
We certainly know that song very well.
Exactly.
And you may want to have somebody just on standby, because you can tire out pretty quickly giving compressions.
Absolutely. They can definitely be exhausting. So we recommend that you do about 2 minutes of CPR before switching, because we do want to minimize interruptions in compressions. But having another friend or another fellow person, you know, that works in the medical industry, or another bystander that knows CPR is definitely beneficial.
Yeah, talk about how it's different between a child or a baby.
So really a lot of it is the same. The big difference with the infant is that we just use 2 fingers in the middle of their chest, and the breathing is actually really important with the child, because a lot of times it's respiratory related. With an adult, it's usually cardiac related. So it could definitely, you know, be a cardiac arrest. It can be a heart attack, something where CPR isn't going to fix the root problem. So we need to make sure that we're getting that advanced care on the way. With an infant, a lot of times it can be choking, it can be respiratory failure, drowning, and so we want to make sure that with children, infants, that we're always giving the breaths.
When you go back to the child, how many breaths again for a child versus the compressions?
So for all ages, we do 30 compressions and 2 breaths. If you don't feel comfortable putting your mouth on the victim's mouth, then you could just do the compressions for the adult.
Okay. And talk about classes. I know a lot of people would like to sign up and learn CPR.
Yeah, so we teach classes for businesses and individuals. So we have a location in West Knoxville where we do classes several times per week, and people can sign up on our website, cprchoice.com. Or we have a service where we go to businesses. So we work with a lot of doctors' offices, construction companies, manufacturers, daycares, gyms, and we do the training at your office and do the training for your staff.
Vital, vital skill. We appreciate you coming on, Cheryl Smith. Thank you so much for being on our weather porch.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Still ahead, it's not the passenger you want.